Bem-vindos ao Português Europeu com o Sergio. Welcome to European Portuguese with Sergio. This is just a follow-up video on my last video about tu versus você and that embarrassing situation with Samuel's grandmother. In this video, in this mini lesson, I just want to talk about a word that, or depending on who you're talking to, terminology that you need to address, be able to address your teachers or your kids' teachers. You may want to fill them in on this little detail. So it's 10th grade. It's 1997. I'm 14 years old. I am in my first week of school in Portugal. I'm in my Portuguese class, and the Portuguese teacher happens also to be like my homeroom teacher. And I didn't know this at the time. My mom's the one that brought this up the other day when I was showing her my YouTube channel. And she said I should talk about this video because it's kind of funny and embarrassing, and I think that works for YouTube videos. People like embarrassing things. It's not that embarrassing. It's understandable why it would happen. So, again, it's 10th grade. I'm in Portuguese class, and apparently my mom and dad were getting phone calls about how I was being disrespectful to the teacher, which, if you know me, and if you knew me back then, I'm really not that type of kid. I wasn't that type of kid that would talk back to a teacher or be disrespectful or, you know, horse around in class. I was a pretty decent student in the United States. I was a really good student. But imagine being transplanted to another country where now all the subjects are taught in a language that you know, but you don't really have the same handle on it, the same written expression as in your native language or the language that you've been working in for the last 14 years. So here I am, it's 14-year-old me. I'm in this class, and apparently for days I had been talking to the teacher, addressing the teacher by just Senhora Professora or Professora. And apparently there's a term that you should use when addressing your teachers, and it's if you're addressing a male teacher, stor. If you're addressing a female teacher, stora. So that's really it. I didn't do that. And apparently the teacher didn't like it, thought I was being disrespectful, and would call home and tell my parents that, you know, I was really not going to make it if I couldn't, you know, treat people respectfully. I mean, she could have told me, like, hey, this is what you say, this is what you don't say, but I don't know. I guess that was too difficult at the time. But I figured it out. I realized that my classmates were using that terminology, and I'm a pretty observant person. Even back then, I just followed suit and did what they did. So I got over it. Not a big deal. But the school thought it was a big enough deal to call home and really put the fear in my parents that I needed to shape it up and you know do things as the Romans do in Rome. And I don't disagree with that, but they just had to tell me to do that, and I would have done it. So that's really it for this video. Imagine being a teenager in another country with a class full of other people in that same age range and looking like a fool because you can't follow basic cultural norms. So I hope this video is helpful to anybody that has children that are going to be going into middle school, high school in Portugal, particularly those that are maybe from an expat community that are living abroad in Portugal. I feel like this would be helpful to them to know that this is a term that you really should be using. I think it's still being used in current times. I can't imagine that things have changed that much. But nonetheless. Oh, and just one more thing. The term stor and stora, just to clarify a little bit, I believe it comes from Senhor Doutor or Senhor Doutora, which is Mr. Doctor or Mrs. Doctor, if we're going to translate it word for word, which doesn't really even make that much sense because you don't need to have a doctorate to teach high school any subject. So to me, it just sounds like a power trip, but when in Rome, right? Or when in Figueira da Foz or when in Lisbon, do as the Lisboetas do. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, to my channel. It really helps me out in making more of these videos and pushing this out to more and more people. I feel like these are helpful. If not, let me know, or let me know about some other subjects, some other topics that you'd like to hear about based on my experience. and I'll be happy to put those together for you. So take care. Yeah, I'll see you.